The objective for this video is to learn how to conduct a Wilkoxon Rank Sum test to test whether two independent samples were selected from populations that have the same distributions. The Wilkoxon Rank Sum test is a non-parametric test that uses ranks to determine if two independent samples were selected from populations that have the same distributions. The assumptions for the Wilkoxon Rank Sum test are: 1. The samples are random and independent of one another. 2. The size of each sample must be greater than or equal to 10. A random sample of men and women in prison were asked to give the length of sentence each received for a certain type of crime. At alpha equal to 0.05, test the claim that there is no difference in the sentence received by each gender. The data in months are shown here. Step 1 is to state the hypotheses. The null hypothesis is that there is no difference in length of sentence for males and females. The alternative hypothesis is that there is a difference in length of sentence for males and females. In this case, the claim is in the null hypothesis. Step 2 is to find the critical value. We should use the standard normal distribution table to find the critical value for a two-tailed test with a 0.05 level of significance. This value is plus or minus 1.96. Step 3 is to compute the test value. We will begin by placing the data values in order. Once this is done, each data value should be associated with the group that it came from. Then a ranking should be assigned to each data value. Note that the data value 12 occurs twice. Rather than assigning these equal values the different rankings of 10 and 11, we will instead average the rankings and assign them an equal ranking of 10.5 each. Note that the same procedure was carried out for the data value 26, which also occurs twice. Each of these data values were assigned the equal ranking of 22.5. Now assign an uppercase R to the sum of the ranks for the smaller sample size, which we will call n sub 1. Since the males had a smaller sample size, we will calculate R from the rankings associated with the males. This total ranking is 191. N sub 1, which represents the smaller sample size, is 12. N sub 2, which is the larger sample size, in this case the number of females in the sample, is 14. Using these values, we will calculate the mean of the rankings with respect to the rankings of the smaller sample size. Substituting into the formula, we find that this mean is 162. Next, we will find the standard deviation for the rankings. Again, substituting into the formula, we find a standard deviation of 19.4. We can now calculate the z-score for the rankings. Substituting into this formula, we find a z-score of 1.49. Step 4 is to make the decision. Since the test value is less than the critical value, we should not reject the null hypothesis. Step 5 is to summarize the results. Since we will not reject the null hypothesis, our conclusion should be that there is not enough evidence to reject the claim that there are no differences in the lengths of sentences received by males and females. In this video, we learned how to conduct a Wilkoxon Rank Sum test to test whether two independent samples were selected from populations that have the same distributions.